Britain and France are considering a scenario of striking Russia if it violates the ceasefire, Associated Press reports. Western and Ukrainian officials discussed a response if the Paris ceasefire is not respected, but there is no final decision on military action, the agency said. The United States was not invited to the meeting because European leaders want to demonstrate their ability to defend Ukraine without Washington's involvement, with Trump appearing to reject the idea of a U.S. security guarantee and other U.S. officials saying it would be carried out by Europe. The French-British plan aims to create a force equipped with enough military power to dissuade Russia from attacking Ukraine again, the newspaper quoted an unnamed French military official as saying. According to him, options for deploying heavy weapons and strategic ammunition reserves that can be quickly delivered to Ukraine are being discussed. The possibility of deploying a peacekeeping contingent at critical infrastructure facilities, including nuclear power plants, with the support of Western air forces and navies, is also being considered. The front line is supposed to be controlled remotely using drones and other technologies. Some Western officials stress that the peace plan will be implemented in stages and that other countries may join the coalition in the future. The initial phase could include a month-long suspension of military action as proposed by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, EU and US leaders. Western officials in Kiev are also considering immediate strikes on Russian military targets if Moscow violates the agreements. Air forces, including US air forces stationed outside of Ukraine, are expected to be on standby for rapid deployment in the event of Russian air violations and to ensure the safety of commercial flights. Allied naval forces could also play a role in demining the Black Sea and patrolling to ensure the safety of international waters. Some Western officials have warned that a peace plan would consist of several steps. The first step could be a one-month cessation of hostilities. Until recently, Europe discussed the possibility of deploying up to 30,000 peacekeepers to Ukraine. According to British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, 18 countries have expressed a desire to join the mission. Recently, media also reported that the Sky Shield plan to defend Ukrainian airspace could get a second life after the ceasefire in the sky proposed by the president. The project envisaged the deployment of 120 fighter aircraft from European countries separately from NATO to protect the airspace over the capital and western Ukraine and to repel Russian cruise missiles and drones. Let us recall that Great Britain, France and Germany played a decisive role in coordinating the US and Ukraine's plan to cease fire in the war with Russia.
Tribal groups in the U.S. are working to figure out what comes next as the Trump administration pushes for funding cuts to federal grants and loans. According to Associated Press, they were holding discussions on economic opportunities and challenges at the Reservation Economic Summit in Las Vegas. Carly Hotvet, a spokesperson of the Indigenous Food and Agriculture Initiative, said she was hopeful that the Trump administration's relationship with tribal groups will be respected. Despite her comments, a directive from President Donald Trump and Elon Musk looks to close more than a quarter of Bureau of Indian Affairs offices, which provide vital services to indigenous communities, among other freezes and staff layoffs. Don Sampson, a spokesperson of the OESTA Corporation, said he believed the funding freeze plan will affect both Democratic and Republican states. More than 4,500 attendees from the US and Canada took part in the summit, which was held between March 10th to 13th.
Yeah, a portion is at risk. The Trump administration put a freeze on a lot of the funding. As I mentioned, there's 3 programs. One's the Solar for All, and that was frozen for almost 3 weeks. 48 or so states all got big chunks of Solar for All money, red state, blue state, and so a lot of the coalitions that we've been building include Republican states, and they're saying, hey, wait a minute, that's benefiting us and our low-income communities as well.
Where did all my grant money go? It's being hung up in some litigation right now.
We know that tribes have a unique relationship with the federal government and a government-to-government style relationship, and the federal government also has a trust obligation to tribes. And so we are hopeful that that relationship is respected. The other issue that we're seeing related to some of these potential federal office closures include Bureau of Indian Affairs agency offices, particularly ones that are located in western states that serve tribes with larger land bases. They administer the agricultural and grazing leases on those tribal lands, and if there is a delay in renewing those leases or administering them appropriately, there's a potential that could significantly impact the agricultural producers on those reservations.